Well, the stocks which we've been discussing from the morning essentially are Mahindra group of companies, and the talking point what we picked up was the tweet from Anand Mahindra. Then we analyzed some of the Mahindra group of companies, individual companies like Mahindra Holidays, Tech Mahindra, Mahindra Financials, and the kind of guidance they've given. All of them at individual level or individual managers of various Mahindra group of companies are sounding bullish. Rural demand is making a comeback. So is it time to really revisit Mahindra group of companies? That is something which we would like to address with the group CFO. So without getting into a stock specific recommendation here, we'll get into a general business discussion as to where the Mahindra group is headed and where the individual companies are headed. With great delight and pleasure, let me now introduce and welcome Mr. V.S. Parthasarathy, Group CFO and Group CIO with Mahindra and Mahindra. Mr. Parthasarathy, good morning and thank you for joining us. If I pick it up from the tweet what Anand Mahindra, Mr. Mahindra tweeted yesterday, he was bullish. He is clearly indicating that not अच्छे दिन but Mahindra Group के बहुत अच्छे दिन आ गए हैं.
Very good morning to all of you. And yes, that's Anand Mahindra's tweet, and he's used a quote from one of the, it's one of very famous quotes which is used from movies, and that's what you saw. But just coming back to the highlights, and I wanted to kind of, yeah, it was a very good quarter and a year. So at an M&M level, I was happy to see that at a PBT level we were 6,615 crores as profit, and that was $1 billion at last year's exchange rates. And when you came to the console level, at a PAT level we were 7,500 crores, so it's $1 billion plus PAT at a consolidated level. So we saw those two milestones, and when you add to that it was the highest number of vehicles that we sold in a year, which is 1 million, highest in tractors, and very high sales in individual products. Bolero, 20 plus years, still selling 1 million vehicles this year, highest sales for Scorpio, and so on. So yes, it was a very good quarter, and I have a very strong number game just to kind of finish on the highlights. This quarter, tractor, auto grew by 20%, tractor grew by 40%, and our PBT grew by 80%. So it's 20, 40, 80. So there are a lot of optimism from what has been delivered, and very strong set of fundamentals that we see in the economy.
Subsidiaries also have played a very large role, whereas we've talked about 20, 40, 80. What is your sense on individual subsidiaries? I'm coming back to the auto business and we've got lots of questions, including me and Tanveer. But I generally want to understand, because since you are the group CFO, you have a very deep understanding of which way demand is moving. And if I look at all the Mahindra group of companies, if I put them under one umbrella, they represent India, they represent Bharat. So what is your sense there? I mean, is rural economy coming back? Will 2018 be significantly better than 2017?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and when you see the economic signals, if an economist is to present about rural, there are a lot of mixed signals that are coming. There are good things that are being pointed out, there are some headwinds that we have pointed out. When I see from my point of view, in a sense, we are not about macroeconomics, we are at the ground level, and as they say, सुर की गति में क्या जानूं, एक भजन करना जानूं. So mine is at a grassroots level, and what I see at the grassroots level is that consumption and demand is not just green shoots in rural economy, it is fundamentally set in, and there is robust growth in rural economy and robust growth in consumption. So, and if you look at, tractor is one way to say that the rural economy started looking forward to good things, and when even our vehicles, our auto start selling well in rural, then that they are also seeing the cash flows, which helps that. And if you look at our businesses, say Mahindra Finance, very clearly robust growth. You saw last quarter was 500 crores profit as against less than half the previous year, so 100% growth in profit. If you saw rural housing in terms of what has happened, so there is a very robust growth. So across and agri, there has been robust growth. So there has been a robust growth across all things in the rural market. So I would say fundamentally the rural seems to be at a grassroots level, we see very good positive momentum.
Since you're emphasizing so much on the rural markets, Mr. Parthasarathy, we've always heard about the potential of rural demand. Could you help us with numbers as to the size of this market? How much do you hope to scale up by? The numbers you hope to generate as part of pushing your tractors business, your trucks business in that segment? And you know, how much of this demand is really dependent on a good monsoon, because those correlations, you know, time and time again are put forward that if there's a good monsoon, there's going to be robust demand. But is that really true on the ground?
Yeah, that's you know, it's a good question. We have had 2 good monsoons, so that's the backdrop that we should say, that whenever we talk about a monsoon, it should not be only that monsoon, but how are we coming into the year. So if you look at demand projections from the industry point of view, and I don't want to comment on M&M separately. First, if you look at auto, you're talking about PV being 10% and growth for the next year. If you kind of look at UV, it is in the mid-teens that the growth is being forecast for the industry. If you look at HCV, it is 10% plus growth, and ICV is going to be 15% plus. So that's the kind of auto demand, and SCV is going to be in the range of 12 to 14. But when you come to tractor, we're talking about a growth of 8 to 10%. And if you look at these growth, a decent monsoon is what goes into this kind of calculation. You can never say that, you know, it's going to be excess monsoon or great monsoon, it will be. But the way today things stand, all the agencies have talked about a very good monsoon. So, you know, if there is a potential, there is a bias towards the higher end of these numbers rather than at the lower end of the numbers. So overall, we are seeing very good demand traction for the industry for the coming year.
Okay, that's heartening to hear. The other concern in the market, and I'm sure that that's you know, a part of your internal debates as well, is how to you know, keep your numero uno position when it comes to the UV segment. I believe that there are 3 UV launches lined up in the next few months. How do you manage to you know, compete at a time when this segment is being either ways you know, brought in with a lot of new products from competitors like Maruti? I mean, everybody is wanting to have a pie of the UV market of the segment as of now. How do you keep your ground, keep your market share, and compete with the new players stepping in?
When you look at the new year, we are not only looking to overall industry being very good, but also that we have got great plans for the next year. And there are 3 product launches, mega launches like you talked about, and competition is here to stay, and competition is very intensive, but we will do what we have to do. And when we come to that time and when we roll out the plans, you will be able to see what we are doing. If I talk ahead of time, it's not very great for what we have in store for you. Let there be a surprise, and we will meet after the break, and we will have input from you how this whole thing went about. But we are looking at the entire launches with great amount of positivity and optimism.
The SsangYong losses, because that's a drag on the aggregate picture.
You know, SsangYong is for me a cup half full. Yeah, the reason why I say it, you're right, we this year had losses, and we had losses because the domestic has done very well, but the international market, the export market, have not done well, and that's because their strong markets like Russia, China, and some parts of Eastern Europe has not done as well, and Algeria has not done as well as it should have, because these markets, for one reason or the other, there is quite a slowdown. Now, why I am saying it is half full is because today what profits I have is what is after taking these things into account. And as SsangYong, as my other global subsidiaries, as my businesses like trucks in India start to make profit, I can grow my profit much faster than I can grow revenue, and revenue I can grow very fast. So I look forward to as a cup half full, because the potential for me is much bigger. And therefore, if you are a better in a share price, you say how fast does the cash flow and the profit grow, and this enables me an opportunity to grow the profits much higher in the coming years.
Capital allocation, the first impression of anyone when it comes to Mahindra & Mahindra is that it's a company which is making tractors and SUVs. But you ultimately are also incubating businesses, and you've incubated some really successful businesses in the last 25 years. So in terms of a cash flow commitment, can you give me a sense that which are the investments which you are doing right now, and which are the investments you think are likely to start giving a strong dividend in next 3 years?
What is my outlay for the capital allocation for the next 3 years? I have just yesterday in the press and analyst meet told that we are looking at next 3 years, we are looking at 15,000 crore outlay. 10,000 crore out of that is for capex in M&M, which goes towards product development, and a smaller amount towards capacity increase. 5,000 crore is the investment I see in various group companies, both for new businesses and for current businesses. So that's the broad breakup. Now coming to value creation from this, we look for 3 kinds of value. Like any any person who invests, we look for dividend, because this enables me to churn and invest in new companies based on the dividend that I receive. The second is harvesting in a portfolio sense. So we sell something and we can get back money for that. For example, last year we got about 1,500 crores from our group companies, 1,000 crores by harvesting portfolio, and 500 crore as dividend. So this is the one portion. But the biggest thing that we are hoping for is for these companies where we are investing to list themselves and create value in market. For example, I said yesterday that I had invested many years back, not too many years back, in Tech Mahindra 1.44 crores, and that was worth more than 10,000 times today. And that kind of value creation is also what I am looking. So dividend and harvesting is one part, but value creation in the marketplace is the other. And I have shown there are many potential billion-dollar units within M&M Group which can come up in the medium term to be listed.
So which is the next big investment which you are planning to unlock? Mahindra Logistics was the last big one. Anything else where you would be able to significantly create shareholder value, either by taking it public or doing a P investment? I mean, is there any investment which you think is now ripe, or is just about at the right size and is due to get monetized?
Yeah. Okay. So I give you couple of examples, because if I talk about one sector, the other sectors will feel that you are not talked about my thing. But I'll give you couple of examples. One, say within M&M and within the auto and farm sectors, agri is one business which is now started doing well and can clearly look for a big leap going forward. Another one, which is what we call as genset business, a Powerol. We are now doing very well in that space. We've been doing well for quite a good time, and it's ripe, and it's a question of us when we want to take it, when we want to take the big leap. If you go outside, look at Mahindra Finance, within Mahindra Finance, rural housing finance, clearly a gem that is available there which we can take forward. If you go a little bit on the left, Sustain are the solar business that we are doing. It has come of age, it has done really well. Last year's results are available to you. Yesterday I shared them, and they are also very much looking forward to doing it. I'm not saying anything is ripe tomorrow, but in the medium term, these are all players, and this is just 3 or 4 of them that I talked about, and there are many more that jewels which are available within the group. And I'm kind of telling them that a listing a year should keep us in good stead.
Right. And if your earnings growth is anything to go by with, I think the market is also realizing that there is a lot of value in the business. Mr. Parthasarathy, thanks very much. It was indeed a pleasure speaking with you this morning on your earnings, and we are very happy to hear all the good news that you have to share about the growth potential of each of your businesses.